Welcome to the conclusion of Unit 4. In Unit 4, we examined educational software and website evaluation. The overarching goal here was for you to develop an understanding of the language and some of the tools that are used to evaluate educational software and educational websites. The two main assignments in this unit were a software and website evaluation. Remember, evaluation determines the worth or value of something. And in Unit 4, we were learning how to determine the worth or value of educational software and educational websites. Any meaningful evaluation should be criteria-based. And those criteria should be determined based on what is meaningful to the user. And so when you design an evaluation, you should keep the criteria in mind that you want to judge or determine the worth of. And that in part is why you were given the option, and it was suggested that when you were doing your educational software and website evaluations, that you either manipulate or create your own matrices in order to evaluate said piece of software or said website. And so keep that in mind in the future as you are either asked to or you take on the task of evaluating educational software or educational websites. So in section 4.1, software evaluation, the articles that we read looked at a number of different topics as they relate to software evaluation. And these topics ranged from the language used in software evaluation to the design of software to a survey looking at technology use to looking at some of the challenges in measuring how software affects learning, and lastly, looking at some of the key components for creating effective educational software. So what is it that makes educational software useful? According to our readings, for an evaluation to be useful, it needs to be built around an expected outcome, some prior conception of what that outcome would look like, and a set of indicators or criteria of success. Because of the sheer amount of educational software that is available out there, these indicators or criteria are more important than ever if we are to judge quality from non-quality. If we fail to evaluate based on criteria, then we run the risk of getting software that is potentially more entertaining than instructive. We also run the risk of students learning but not being able to apply. And we also run the risk of running into gender and culture biases within the software. So with that in mind, there are some indicators that we should keep in mind as we evaluate educational software. The first of which is, can said software be used in tandem with the already established curriculum? The second of which is, are the objectives of the software clear and aligned with local, state, national standards? The third indicator is the teacher's role. What role, if any, did the teacher have in choosing the software and how it will be used in his or her classroom? The fourth criteria, usability, refers to how easy is said software to use by students, how fun is the software for students to use. In our reading, one of the findings was that children, they prefer fun in software, whether that be games or things of that sort. They prefer fun. The conclusion was also drawn that children as young as 7 and 8, they were able to distinguish between concepts such as usability, fun, and potential for learning. And so no matter what the age, we cannot discount usability. And the fifth criteria is support from the publisher. So when you purchase and begin using said software, Is there support if you run into a problem with its use, with the software itself? Is the software updated? Things of these sort. And so it's with these criteria in mind that matrices are constructed and used to evaluate software for its effectiveness and usefulness. So one of the questions that begs answering is, why evaluate? What's the purpose behind it? Well, one of the main reasons for evaluating is making improvements or improving the circumstances for learning with technology. Quite often, learning and technology are seen as two separate things. Technology is seen as something extra that has to be done, as opposed to something that can be an aid to the learning process. And so, as our reading indicated, this requires viewing technology not as a solution in isolation, but as a key component in enabling schools to address core educational challenges. And so one of the key ways that this can be done is giving educators information about educational technologies, how they fit in with all the constraints and priorities facing a classroom teacher on any given day. In section 4.2, website evaluation, several topics are covered. Those topics range from teacher website creation and use within the classroom, the use of and evaluation of educational portals, court cases related to fair use of content, and measuring student technology use and competency. One of the questions that one should consider when evaluating a website is, what is usability? And according to the literature, the word usability is usually synonymous with the functionality of the system for the user, and in our particular case, websites. A usability evaluation, it really is an essential phase in the construction of a website, and it is one of the times when the role of the user in its construction is actually recognized. In the reading, it was a comprehensive analysis of the usability of an educational website. A 49-question survey that was broken into 7 categories was given to the users of said website. The 7 categories that were considered were visual clarity, navigation, the content, control, feedback, errors, and consistency. Now, while this survey was very focused in nature, there are some questions that I and hopefully you asked in regards to this. Well, as I indicated, this is a very comprehensive analysis. The question that begs answering is it necessary for us to use this every time we evaluate a website? And I would tend to say no, it certainly isn't. I mean, if you look at the results, from all of this comprehensive analysis, they really garnished very little information. And so keep that in mind as you move forward with website evaluation. So how technologically savvy are our students? Well, according to the reading, in a study that was done that was measuring competency and attitudes towards tech use as an instructional medium, students were very much competent in the use of technology, and their attitudes in general were positive towards the use of technology as an instructional medium. Now, we have to be careful not to draw too many conclusions from this one study. Now, more often than not, especially as older non-digital natives, we make the assumption, since the majority of our students were born with these technologies surrounding them, and more often than not with the technologies in their hand, that they are savvy and can navigate these things without any issues. And while it is true that they tend to have a certain savviness about them as far as picking up technologies is concerned, we cannot make the assumption that they all understand and are all savvy. So what does an effective class website look like? Well, according to the literature, there are several features and functions that an effective and quality website will look like. First of all, the quality website is regularly maintained, and it serves 5 important functions. First, it provides a location to publish student work. Second, it enables teachers to organize a bank of resources that enable students to access the resources that link into the curriculum units and topics of study. Third, educators are sharing their resources housed on their sites with others to advance learning opportunities. Fourth, they're developing a classroom website which helps forge a link between home and school. And finally, classroom homepages help the teaching professional as a whole. They project professionalism, and they send a message that teachers are helping to prepare students to integrate technology and learning into the classroom. Some of the key features of an effective class website include email links, curriculum specifications, community resources, suggested activities, student work products, communication tools, and collaborative teaching and learning units. How do we evaluate educational portals? Well, the main purpose of an educational portal, according to the literature, is to be an entrance door to a wide source of educative resources and information, with potential to complement, effectively, albeit, the teaching and learning process. Effective and quality educational portals take it one step further. They're more than just a dumping site for various websites. An educational portal that is quality in nature should be able to provide a collaborative environment for the development, evaluation, and sharing of materials and educational resources, which immediately raises the question of the quality of the content of the technical features available in the system. And so in determining the quality of an educational portal, we're going to examine 5 main criteria. The first of which is the platform requirements. And basically what that means is, what is the browser capability that is needed to access the portal and or the websites within it? Is it multi-browser, or is it specific to one particular browser? The second criteria is the goals and objectives, which basically asks and answers the questions what subjects, grades, and instructional goals and objectives are being met by this educational portal and its websites. The third criteria is content, and this basically answers, does the content meet the curriculum standards of the country, city, district, state, nation? Is it appropriately comprehensive? Is it up to date? Things of this sort. The fourth criteria is ease of use, and basically that's your usability. Is it easy to access the information on said website? Does the website download in a quick fashion? Does each web page have a link back to the home page? Things of that sort. And the final criteria, cost. What's the initial cost for a single and multiple copies? Are there renewal costs? And what is the cost for upgrading to the next version of software that may be available on the website? We as educators are famous, or infamous as the case may be, for quote-unquote borrowing a lot of our content. And so inevitably the question of liability as far as the extent of our borrowing is concerned comes into question. And so one of our readings examined 3 court cases that related to fair use of content in commercial settings. And in each of these cases, consideration was given to the way in which specific content was repurposed or recontextualized. And so in each case, the defendant's use, the repurposing or recontextualizing of a specific product or image, as the case may be, was upheld. And so the question then becomes, what does this mean for us as educators? And so the main takeaway here is that these three cases suggest that the transformative nature of the repurposing for educational use can be further enhanced if the work is recontextualized. So what exactly does this mean? Well, basically what it means is that the more integrated a work is with other material, the stronger the claim is of fair use. One final thought to leave you with in this unit of software and website evaluation. The research tends to show that if good software and websites are integrated into teaching, students' attendance and engagement increase, and learning often does also. But those effects depend on the quality of the resources and their suitability for the circumstances.